The human colony ship Starseeker drifted through the vast emptiness of space. 3 weeks after their emergency landing on planet Azura, the crew realized they were not alone. Megan Jones stared at the alien delegation approaching the makeshift camp. Her brown hair whipped across her face in the purple-tinted breeze of this strange world. She stood tall despite being exhausted from weeks of rationing supplies and repairing critical systems. The weight of responsibility for 300 colonists pressed down on her shoulders as she waited for the aliens to reach them. The aliens called themselves the Valkyrie. Tall, slender beings, with iridescent skin that reflected the twin moons overhead. Their bodies glowed with internal light that shifted, colors based on their emotions. They moved with grace that made them appear to float rather than walk. Their leader stepped forward, a female with elaborate markings across her arms and neck. Her name was Laris Prime, sovereign of the Western Territories, of Azura. What made humans special was not their technology but their adaptability. The Valkyrie had watched from afar as the humans survived against impossible odds after their crash. They were impressed by how quickly these strange, soft-skinned creatures had established a functioning settlement, especially since the atmosphere contained elements that should have been toxic to them. "We welcome you to Azura, though your arrival was unexpected." Laris spoke through a translation device clipped to her flowing robes, her voice melodic yet commanding. Megan straightened her worn uniform. "I am Acting Commander Megan Jones of the Earth Coalition ship Starseeker. We apologize for the intrusion. We suffered a catastrophic drive failure and had limited options for emergency landing." Laris tilted her head, studying the human with 6 pupilless eyes that shimmered like opals. "Fascinating your kind travels between stars, yet you appear so fragile." The humans had accidentally landed in contested Territory 3. Rival alien factions had been fighting over this resource-rich region for centuries. Their arrival had disrupted the delicate balance of power, a fact that Laris explained with careful words. Kate Miller, the ship's science officer, studied the alien sovereign with fascination. The Valkyrie were beautiful in an otherworldly way, their movements fluid like water cascading down a mountain, their technology seamlessly integrated with their biology. She noted how the translation device seemed to pulse in rhythm with Laris' speech patterns. The Valkyrie needed allies in their struggle against the brutal Zorvath Empire. Laris explained how the Zorvath conquered worlds and enslaved populations. Her people had managed to resist, but were losing ground each cycle. They take everything of value and leave worlds barren. Laris said, her skin darkening to a deep blue, indicating sorrow. According to Kate's observations, "They will come here eventually. They always do." Megan and Kate exchanged glances, both understanding the implications of being drawn into an interstellar conflict. They had just wanted to establish a peaceful colony, not become soldiers in someone else's war. "Our primary goal is to repair our ship and continue to our original destination," Megan said diplomatically. "We have families aboard." Children. Laris' skin shifted to a pale green. "Perhaps there is a way we can help each other." "Commander Jones, your people have skills we lack, and we have resources you need." That evening, the Human Leadership Council gathered in the ship's damaged command center to discuss their options. Susan Wright, the colony director, voiced her concerns about trusting aliens they had just met. Megan argued they needed allies to survive. "On this unfamiliar world, we don't know anything about these Valkyrie." Susan said, her voice tight with stress. "They could be manipulating us." Megan sighed, leaning against a flickering console. "We don't have many options. The ship's core is beyond repair. With our current supplies, we need their help if we want to leave this planet." Kate, who had been quietly analyzing data, spoke up. "The Valkyrie technology is fascinating. Their understanding of quantum mechanics is beyond anything we've developed. But they seem to lack innovation. They follow patterns established thousands of years ago." While the humans deliberated, Laris wandered to the edge of their camp where Kate was cataloging alien plant specimens. The human woman worked methodically, placing samples into containers and making notes on a small electronic device. "Your species fascinates me," Laris said, watching Kate work. "Your body seems so fragile, yet you accomplish remarkable things." Kate smiled, continuing her work. We adapt, that's our strength. The Valkyrie sovereign moved closer, observing the human with curious eyes. In Valkyrie culture, strength-determined leadership and alliances were sealed through bonding rituals between the strongest of each group. Laris had never considered a non-Valkyrie as worthy of such consideration, until she watched the humans, especially this one named Kate, survive and thrive against all odds. "May I ask how your scanning device works?" Kate asked, pointing to an ornate bracelet on the alien's wrist. Laris extended her arm. "The device is bonded to me. It reads my thoughts and extends my senses. It was grown, not built." Kate leaned closer, her scientific curiosity overcoming her natural caution. The concept of organic technology was theoretical on Earth, but the Valkyrie had mastered it. Their entire civilization seemed built upon the principle of growth rather than construction. The twin suns began to set, casting long shadows across the landscape. Laris' skin shifted to match the golden hues of sunset. Kate found herself mesmerized by the display. "I should return to my people," Laris said after a moment of comfortable silence. "Tomorrow we will show you our city. Perhaps you will find answers there to help your situation." Kate watched the sovereign glide away, her form nearly transparent in the fading light. She felt a strange connection to this alien being, a sense that their meeting was somehow significant. Back at the command center, Kate reported her observations to Megan and Susan. They listened, carefully weighing their options. "Tomorrow we visit their city. Megan decided we need to know more about these Valkyrie and the threats they face. Then we can make informed decisions about our future." Here, as night fell over the alien landscape, the humans prepared for their first diplomatic mission on this strange new world. Unaware that their arrival had already set in motion events that would change the fate of multiple species across the stars, Kate stood at the edge of camp looking up at unfamiliar constellations, a sense of both wonder and apprehension filling her. Something about Laris and the Valkyrie called to her scientific mind, demanding exploration and understanding. But she also felt a warning in her gut that they were stepping into something far bigger than a simple first contact situation. Little did she know how right she was. The Valkyrie city of Luminara rose from the landscape like a living thing. Spiraling towers of crystal and what appeared to be hardened resin caught the morning light and broke it into thousands of rainbow fragments. The human delegation stood in awe as their Valkyrie guides led them through the city gates. Kate Miller kept her scanner running, recording everything. The city defied human architectural principles. There were no straight lines, no right angles. Everything curved and flowed like frozen water. Even the ground beneath their feet seemed alive somehow, warm and slightly yielding with each step. "This is amazing," Kate whispered to Megan, who walked beside her looking equally impressed. "The Valkyrie have lived on Azura for 20,000 cycles," Laris explained as she guided them. "The city grows with us, not built but cultivated." Susan Wright frowned at this concept. "How do you control the growth?" she asked, her practical mind struggling with the organic nature of everything around them. "Don't control," Laris replied, her skin shifting to a thoughtful purple shade. "We guide, we nurture. The city responds to our needs as we respond to its." The central structure of Luminara was a massive dome that seemed to pulse with gentle light. Laris led them inside where the humans gasped in collective wonder. The ceiling was transparent, revealing the sky above. But it was the interior that captured their attention. Hundreds of Valkyrie moved through the space. Some floated on platforms of light, while others worked at stations that appeared to be part of the living structure itself. "Our civic heart," Laris said with evident pride, "where we gather to make decisions and share knowledge." Kate noticed that many of the Valkyrie were staring at them, their opalescent eyes wide with curiosity. A group of smaller Valkyrie children approached, their skin flickering with excited colors. They reached out to touch the humans. Clothing and hair forgive them. Laris said, "They have never seen your kind before. You are the first non-Valkyrie to visit our city in many generations." Megan smiled at the children, her diplomatic instincts taking over. "We are honored to be your guests," she said. Laris led them to a chamber where a circle of elder Valkyrie waited. There, skin patterns more elaborate than others indicating their status, Kate guessed. The elders' skin tones were muted compared to Laris' vibrant colors, perhaps an indication of age. These are the humans. The Sovereign Council has been informed of your arrival, Laris said formally. We must decide how to proceed with these unexpected visitors. An elder with silver markings across his face spoke, his voice deeper than Laris. The Zorvath scouts have increased their activity in our sector. They know something has changed. The humans' arrival has not gone unnoticed. Megan stepped forward. We have no intention of causing problems for your people. We simply need time and resources to repair our ship. The silver-marked elder fixed his gaze on her. Your ship is beyond repair, human. The damage to your quantum core is irreversible. Even our technology cannot fix it. This revelation hit the human delegation hard. Kate saw Megan's shoulders stiffen as the implications became clear. They were stranded on this alien world. Why were we not told this sooner? Susan demanded, her voice sharp with anger. We needed to verify, Laris said, her skin darkening with what Kate was beginning to recognize as regret. We sent specialists to examine your vessel while you slept. A council chamber erupted in discussion as the humans processed this information. Their colony ship was more than transportation. It contained their supplies, their manufacturing facilities, their link to Earth. Without it, they were truly alone. Kate noticed that Laris kept watching her during the heated debate, the alien sovereign's eyes rarely leaving her face. It was both unsettling and strangely flattering. After hours of discussion, a compromise was reached. The humans would be allowed to establish a permanent settlement near Luminara. They would share their knowledge and skills with the Valkyrie. In return, the Valkyrie would provide protection and resources. As the meeting concluded, Laris approached Kate. I would show you something, if you are willing, she said, her skin now a calm blue shade. Kate looked to Megan, who nodded her approval. Kate followed Laris through crystal corridors that seemed to sing softly as they passed. They descended into the lower levels of the city, where the air grew warmer and filled with strange sweet scents. This is our Genesis chamber, Laris said as they entered a vast garden unlike anything Kate had ever seen. Plants of impossible shapes and colors grew alongside pools of luminescent liquid. Valkyrie tended to various growth pods embedded in the walls. Here we cultivate our technology, our homes, our ships. Everything comes from the patterns of life. Kate moved through the chamber in wonder, touching leaves that responded to her fingers, changing color and texture. Is all this natural, she asked, or engineered? Both and neither, Laris replied. We work with the essence of life itself, guiding it into forms that serve needs. Some patterns come from ancient times, passed down through generations. Others, we discover through communion with the world. Kate stopped beside a pool, where something that looked like a small spacecraft was growing, its hull translucent, revealing complex internal structures forming inside. How long does it take? She asked. This vessel has been growing for 3 cycles, Laris said. It will be ready soon. We cultivate everything with patience. Kate thought about human manufacturing, the rush to build and replace, the constant demand for newer, faster, better. The Valkyrie approach was fundamentally different, working with natural processes rather than forcing them. Laris led her to a quiet alcove where a small tree grew, its branches bearing what appeared to be fruits made of crystal. This is the memory tree, she explained, our history, our knowledge stored in living crystal. Each fruit contains the experiences of a Valkyrie who has passed beyond. Kate hesitantly touched one of the crystal fruits. It hummed beneath her fingers, sending a tingle up her arm. May I? She asked, gesturing. To the fruit, Laris seemed surprised but nodded. Kate carefully plucked the crystal, which was warm to the touch. As she held it, visions flooded her mind, fragments of an alien life, feelings and sensations she had no words to describe. She gasped, dropping the crystal, which Laris caught smoothly. Too much for your mind, Laris said gently. We forget how different your consciousness is from ours. Kate steadied herself against the wall. That was I saw through someone else's eyes. You touched the memories of Sarai, my ancestor, who first united the territories. The crystal contains not just memories but essence, the pattern of a life. As they left the Genesis chamber, Kate felt changed somehow. The experience had shifted something fundamental in her understanding, not just of the Valkyrie but of life itself. The boundaries she had accepted as immutable now seemed arbitrary and limited. That evening, as the humans settled into quarters provided by the Valkyrie, Kate shared her experiences with Megan and Susan. They listened with varying degrees of skepticism and wonder. "We need to be careful," Megan cautioned. "This technology, their whole civilization, it's so different from ours. We don't fully understand their motivations yet." Susan nodded in agreement. "I still don't trust that they examined our ship without permission. What else might they be doing without telling us?" Kate understood their concerns, but couldn't shake the feeling that the Valkyrie genuinely wanted to help them. Laris especially seemed invested in building a relationship between their peoples. As the humans talked, a distant alarm began to sound, its eerie tone penetrating the walls of their quarters. Moments later, Laris appeared, her skin pulsing with alarming red patterns. "Zorvath scouts have been detected entering the atmosphere," she said urgently. "They must not find you here." The peaceful exploration was over. Now the humans would learn firsthand about the threat that haunted the Valkyrie, and Kate would discover that her connection to Laris in this strange world was just beginning to form. Night fell over the alien landscape as the retrieval team made their way toward the crashed Starseeker. Kate, Megan, and 3 Valkyrie warriors traveled in a living transport vessel that skimmed just above the ground. Its hull pulsed with subtle light that matched the surrounding terrain, making it nearly invisible. The mental link with Laris gave Kate newfound awareness of the Valkyrie beside her. She could sense their nervousness, their determination. She wondered if they could feel her emotions, too. The fear that churned in her stomach, the wonder at this strange connection, the growing certainty that her life would never return to what she had planned. The Starseeker loomed against the horizon, its once sleek hull now scarred and broken, a monument to human ambition and failure. The ship that was supposed to carry them to a new colony world had become their prison. On a planet caught in an interstellar war perimeter scan shows no Zorvath activity, one of the Valkyrie warriors said, his skin patterns shifting in ways Kate now recognized as communication. The team called him Terran. His specialty was stealth and reconnaissance. "We move quickly," Megan instructed, her military training evident in her precise commands. "Essential equipment. Only priority 1 is medical supplies, weapons, and communication gear." The team approached the ship cautiously. The massive entry wound in the hull gaped like a mouth in the darkness. They entered through this breach, stepping carefully over twisted metal and shattered composite materials. The ship's emergency lighting still functioned, casting eerie blue shadows through the corridors. Kate felt a chill as they passed through the main concourse. The space designed to house hundreds of colonists was now empty, personal belongings still scattered where people had left them during the emergency evacuation. 3 weeks ago, this had been filled with frightened humans. Now it felt like a tomb. They split into teams. Kate heading for the research lab while Megan and one of the Valkyrie went to the armory. Terran and his companion secured the perimeter, watching for signs of Zorvath activity. The research lab had been Kate's domain for the 2-year journey from Earth. She knew every piece of equipment, every sample, every data core. Quickly she gathered the most essential items: genetic samples from Earth species catalogs, medical research that might help them adapt to this alien world, and most importantly, the quantum computer cores that contained the sum of human scientific knowledge. As she worked, Kate sensed something, a faint impression through her bond with Laris. A warning. She froze, listening. The silence of the abandoned ship suddenly seemed threatening. "Kate," she heard Megan's urgent whisper. Through her communicator, "We have company Zorvath signatures approaching from the south. Multiple contacts." Kate secured her pack, checking that the data cores were safely stowed. The quantum computers were irreplaceable, containing information that Might mean survival for the human colonists meet at extraction point B. Megan continued. Stay low. They haven't breached the hull. Yet Kate moved silently through the ship, her heart pounding in her chest. The mental link with Laris seemed to intensify. With her fear, she could almost hear the alien sovereign's voice urging caution, guiding her movements. She rounded a corner and froze. A Zorvath soldier stood in the corridor. Its back to her. The being was tall, nearly 7 feet, with broad shoulders, enhanced muscle visible beneath transparent armor sections. Cybernetic implants protruded from its spine, connecting to a helmet that completely covered its head. Kate held her breath, pressing herself against the wall. The Zorvath seemed to be scanning, something its movements mechanical and precise. She noticed how its breathing was regulated by external apparatus, the organic parts of its body subservient to the mechanical. The soldier turned suddenly, its helmet featuring no visible eyes, only sensor arrays that swept the corridor. Kate remained perfectly still, remembering what Laris had shared during their connection. The Zorvath sensors were calibrated for movement and energy signatures. Rather than visual identification, the soldier took a step toward her, its armored hand reaching for a weapon. Kate closed her eyes, focusing on the mental link with Laris, trying to suppress her biosignature the way the Valkyrie had shown her, imagining her energy dispersing, becoming indistinguishable from the background radiation of the ship. Seconds stretched like hours. The Zorvath moved closer, close enough that Kate could hear the mechanical sounds of its breathing apparatus, the subtle whir of servo motors as it turned its head. Then, incredibly, it turned away, continuing down the corridor, apparently not detecting her presence. Kate waited until she could no longer hear its footsteps. Then she moved quickly toward extraction point B, a small airlock on the ship's underside where the team had planned to regroup if separated. She found Megan already there with one of the Valkyrie warriors, his skin dark with tension patterns. The others? Kate whispered. Captured, Megan replied, her voice tight. The Zorvath have surrounded the ship. We're trapped. The Valkyrie warrior, who Kate now recognized as Velix, touched a pattern on his forearm, activating some kind of communication. A moment later, his skin shifted, showing information patterns. The Sovereign sends aid, he said. But we must move now. The Zorvath are placing demolition charges. They mean to destroy your vessel. Kate's blood ran cold. If the Starseeker was destroyed, the colony's chances for long-term survival would plummet. The ship contained their most advanced technology, their manufacturing capabilities, their connection to Earth. We need to stop them. Kate said. Impossible. Velix replied. The Zorvath number 20 or more, each heavily armed. We are 3. Megan checked her weapon, a standard-issue pulse rifle. It was designed for defense against wildlife, not armored soldiers. But it was all they had. What about the ship systems? Kate asked suddenly. I might be able to trigger the emergency protocols, overload the remaining power cells. Velix's skin brightened with interest. An explosion. That would destroy everything, Kate said. But we could target specific sections, trigger emergency containment procedures, trap the Zorvath inside. Megan nodded. We need to reach the auxiliary control room. It's closer than the bridge. The trio moved through the darkened ship, avoiding the main corridors where Zorvath soldiers patrolled. Kate led them through maintenance tunnels and air circulation systems, routes that only the ship's engineers and science team would know. The auxiliary control center was untouched, its systems on standby. Kate quickly accessed the main computer, her fingers flying over the controls. Zorvath demolition charges detected in engineering and the main habitat ring. The computer announced in its calm artificial voice, detonation estimated in 12 minutes. Kate accessed the emergency protocols, initiating containment procedures designed to activate during hull breaches. Massive doors began closing throughout the ship, sealing sections and trapping the Zorvath soldiers in separate compartments. Alarms blared as the ship's systems came fully online. Warning, intruder alert. The computer voice announced, initiating security measures. We need to move. Megan urged. The Zorvath will realize what's happening. Kate downloaded one last set of critical files to her portable drive. then nodded. They fled the control room, heading for the extraction point. As they ran, the ship around them came alive. Security fields activated, defense systems powered up, the Starseeker making one final stand to protect its human crew. They reached the airlock as the first explosion rocked the ship. The Zorvath attempting to breach the containment doors, Kate sealed the airlock behind them as they emerged onto the planet's surface. A Valkyrie transport waited nearby, its hull rippling with anxiety patterns inside. Terran lay wounded, his skin pale with pain patterns. The third warrior was missing. We must leave now, Velix urged. They detected our rescue attempt. The transport rose swiftly as more explosions erupted from the Starseeker. Kate watched from the viewport as sections of the ship collapsed inward, the home that had carried them across the stars dying before her eyes. Her link with Laris suddenly intensified. She felt the Sovereign's concern, her relief at their escape, but also something deeper, a growing connection that transcended the temporary mental bond they had formed. Kate could sense Laris' presence in her mind, comforting, guiding, steadying her emotions. The transport accelerated, away from the destruction. As they watched, a massive Zorvath vessel appeared above the crash site, its ominous black hull blotting out the stars. They know we're here now, Megan said grimly. They won't stop until they find us. Kate nodded, understanding the gravity of their situation. The humans were now fully committed to this alien conflict. There was no going back. Their fate was tied to the Valkyrie, whether they wanted it or not. Velek's skin shifted to communication patterns as he received messages from Luminara. The Sovereign requests your presence immediately, he told Kate. Something has been discovered in the ancient archives. A reference to beings like you. Kate exchanged glances with Megan, both wondering what this could mean. The transport sped through the night sky, racing back to the Valkyrie city. As they traveled, Kate felt the mental link with Laris growing stronger, not weaker as it should have been. Something was changing between them, a connection forming that neither had anticipated. Behind them, the remains of the Starseeker burned, a symbol of their old life consumed by flames. As before them, Luminara glowed on the horizon, a new beginning, an alien future, and for Kate, a destiny she was only beginning to understand. The ancient archives of Luminara lay deep beneath the city in chambers carved from living crystal. The walls themselves contained knowledge, patterns, and textures that held information readable only to those with proper training. Kate followed Laris through narrow passages where the air felt thick with age and significance. Their mental link had strengthened since Kate's return from the Starseeker. She could feel Laris' excitement and concern as they descended into the archives. A sense of urgency propelled the alien Sovereign, her skin shifting through patterns that Kate now recognized as deep thought. Something was discovered while you were gone, Laris explained, her voice echoing in the crystal chamber. A reference in our oldest records to beings like you. Humans Megan and Susan followed close behind, their faces reflecting the blue glow of bioluminescent fungi that lit the passageways. The rest of the human colonists had been moved to secure shelters deeper within Valkyrie territory, away from the Zorvath patrols that now openly searched the region. The central archive chamber opened before them, a vast space where crystal columns rose from floor to ceiling, each surface etched with microscopic patterns that formed a living library. An elderly Valkyrie waited for them, his skin pale and translucent with age, his 6 eyes clouded but still alert. This is Heron Kate, Laris said formally. He is our most knowledgeable archivist. He made the discovery. The ancient Valkyrie approached Kate, studying her with obvious curiosity. His movement slow and deliberate. I have lived 1,200 cycles, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Yet never thought to see the return of the Shapers, Kate asked, the word triggering something in her connection with Laris. A sense of reverence and awe. Heron gestured to a central crystal column, its surface glowing with internal light. As they watched, images formed within the translucent structure, moving pictures showing bipedal beings, working alongside ancient Valkyrie. The aliens in the images were clearly not human. Their proportions wrong, but the similarity was striking. They came from beyond the stars. Heron explained, beings who could alter life itself. They helped us develop. Our organic technology taught us to communicate with the living world. Then they left, promising to return when the balance required restoration. Laris' skin pulsed with excitement, the timing of your arrival. The similarities in your appearance. It cannot be coincidence. Megan stepped forward, her practical nature asserting itself. We're just humans, not these shapers. Our presence here was an accident, a crash, not a planned arrival. Heron seemed undeterred, his clouded eyes fixed on Kate specifically. The archives speak of a test A joining of minds to determine if the visitors were truly the shapers returned. Kate felt a chill remembering her mental link with Laris. The connection that should have faded but instead had grown stronger. I initiated. Such a joining, Laris said. Her skin flushing with colors Kate now recognized as something akin to embarrassment. The bond persists, growing stronger. This is unprecedented, unless the ancient writings describe this. Heron confirmed. When true shapers returned, their minds would resonate with our own, creating a permanent bond. A sharing of knowledge and purpose. Susan shook her head. This is ridiculous. We're scientists explorers, not some mythical beings from your past. But Kate remained silent, her scientific mind racing. The coincidences were indeed remarkable. The human form similar to these ancient shapers. Their arrival during a time of conflict with the Zorvath. The unexpected mental connection with Laris. Was it possible that humans and these shapers shared some connection? Some common ancestry? Heron led them deeper into the archives. To a chamber sealed for centuries, according to Laris. The crystal door recognized the sovereign's touch, sliding open to reveal a small room containing a single pedestal. Upon it rested what appeared to be a seed, large as a human head and pulsing with faint internal light. The legacy. Heron whispered reverently. Left by the shapers. A weapon against those who would pervert life. A means to restore balance. The seed seemed to respond to their presence, its pulsing growing stronger. Kate felt drawn to it, her mind filling with images she couldn't understand, fragments of knowledge too alien to process. Laris explained that according to legend, the legacy contained the pure essence of life itself, uncorrupted by the mechanical perversions of the Zorvath. It could cleanse, restore, heal, but only if activated by a shaper working in concert with a Valkyrie sovereign. A union of different life paths. Implications were staggering. If the legends were true, this seed might be a biological weapon capable of affecting the Zorvath on a genetic level, reversing their cybernetic corruption, restoring their original biological nature. But are we meant to use it? Kate wondered aloud. The ethical implications troubling her. Who were they to decide the fate of an entire species? Even one as apparently destructive as the Zorvath. The archives speak of balance, not destruction. Heron said, sensing her concern. The shapers believed all life had purpose. The Zorvath have simply lost their way, forgotten their place in the greater pattern. As they studied, the seed alarms echoed through the crystal chambers. Valkyrie guards rushed in their skin, flashing with urgent patterns. Zorvath ships have entered orbit. Laris announced, reading the patterns. They are landing troops surrounding Luminara. The attack we have feared for generations has begun. The timing cannot be coincidence. Heron said they sense the activation of the legacy. They fear what it represents. Megan immediately shifted to tactical planning. We need to evacuate coordinate defense perimeters. How many warriors can the Valkyrie field? But Laris and Heron exchanged meaningful glances, their skin patterns, conveying a conversation Kate could partially understand through her link with the Sovereign. There is another way, Laris said. Finally, the legacy can be awakened now. With your help, Kate. If you are truly connected to the Shapers, your mind combined with mine might activate its power. This is insanity, Susan protested. You want to stake our survival on some ancient alien seed based on myths and legends. Kate understood her friend's skepticism. The scientist in her shared those doubts. But something, deeper something connected to her bond with Laris told her there was truth here. A purpose to their seemingly random arrival on this world. Above them, the sounds of battle began. The distinctive whine of Zorvath energy weapons. The response of Valkyrie. Defense's time was running out. What would it require? Kate asked, her voice steady. Despite her fear a true joining, Laris explained. Not temporary like before. A permanent melding of our minds, our beings. You would remain yourself, but also become part of something greater. Our knowledge shared forever. The room fell silent as the implications became clear. Kate would never be fully human again, her mind forever altered by alien consciousness. Her perception of reality fundamentally changed. Megan placed a hand on her friend's shoulder. Kate, you don't have to do this, we can fight conventionally. Kate looked at the legacy seed, its pulsing now matched her heartbeat, as though it recognized her. Was this truly why they had crashed on this specific world out of all the planets in the galaxy? Why the mental connection with Laris had formed and strengthened? Had something been guiding them all along? If I do this, she asked Laris, will it save both our peoples? The sovereign's skin shifted to honest patterns. The future is uncertain, but the legacy represents our best hope. The Zorvath cannot be defeated by conventional means. They are too numerous, too powerful. Their technology too advanced. Kate thought of the human colonists. Their dreams of a new home shattered by the crash. Their future now tied to these aliens. Through her they might find purpose, meaning survival. I consent, she said finally. Her voice quiet but determined. The joining ritual took place in the archive chamber as battles raged above the legacy seed placed between Kate and Laris as they sat facing each other. Heron chanting in the ancient Valkyrie tongue, his skin patterns creating complex mandalas in the air. Kate felt Laris' mind touch hers. Not like before. This was deeper, more fundamental energy flowed between them. Memories, knowledge, feelings. The barriers between their separate consciousnesses dissolving, reforming into something new. Kate remained herself, but expanded, her awareness extending beyond human limitations, understanding flowing into her mind. The legacy responded, its pulsing, accelerating, the seed cracking open. As living light spilled forth, Kate understood suddenly what it truly was. Not a weapon, but a key, a means of accessing the planetary consciousness of Azura itself. The world was alive, aware, and now through Kate and Laris it was awakening. Power surged through the joined minds. Kate and Laris becoming conduits for something ancient and vast. The living technology of the Valkyrie, responding, growing, evolving at accelerated rates. Throughout Luminara and beyond, defensive structures formed plants, animals. The planet itself rising to repel the Zorvath invaders in orbit. The massive Zorvath ships found their systems failing. Organic countermeasures infiltrating their mechanical components. The balance shifting as the legacy did its work through her expanded consciousness. Kate could sense the Zorvath, their fear, their anger, but also something unexpected beneath their mechanical exteriors. A longing, a remembrance of what they had once been, before cybernetic enhancement had consumed their species, before they had forgotten their connection to life itself. The legacy was not destroying them. It was offering healing restoration, a return to balance. The choice would be theirs to accept or reject this gift. The Zorvath scout ship resembled a massive insect, its black hull covered in spines and sensor arrays. Unlike the organic vessels of the Valkyrie, this craft was clearly mechanical, built for intimidation and war. It descended through the clouds toward Luminara with predatory intent. We must move quickly, Laris urged, guiding the humans through tunnels beneath the city. Her skin had shifted to camouflage patterns, making her difficult to see in the dim light. Kate marveled at how the Valkyrie biology adapted so readily to threats. Where are you taking us? Megan asked. Keeping pace with their alien guide to the sanctuary, Laris replied. The Zorvath cannot detect it. Their sensors are blind to certain energy frequencies, a weakness we have exploited. For generations, the tunnel opened into a vast underground chamber. Unlike the beauty of the city above, this place was clearly designed for function, not form. Valkyrie moved with purpose, checking defense systems and monitoring screens that showed. The Zorvath ship circling above, we've evacuated the sensitive areas of the city. Laris explained, the Zorvath will find nothing of interest. They believe we are a primitive outpost not worth their full attention. For now, Kate watched the alien ship on the monitors, her scientific mind analyzing its design. While the Valkyrie technology was organic and flowing, the Zorvath craft was all hard angles and weapons, a reflection of their different approaches to existence. Why do they hunt you, Susan? Asked the practical colony director, always focused on understanding threats. Resources, Lara said simply. They consume. They do not cultivate or create. They take what others have built, and we possess what they desire most. Living technology that they cannot replicate. The Zorvath ship landed on the outskirts of Luminara. Armored figures emerged, moving with mechanical precision, their bodies augmented with cybernetic implants that gleamed dully in the sunlight. They are partially machine. Kate observed, watching the monitor cybernetically enhanced. Not by choice. Lara said, her voice heavy. They were once like you. Purely organic. But generations of modifications and replacements have left them dependent on technology, their natural form forgotten. Valkyrie approached Lara, speaking rapidly in their musical language. Kate couldn't understand the words, but the urgent tone was clear. Something had gone wrong. The Zorvath are scanning for non-Valkyrie biosigns. Laris explained, her skin paling to an ashen gray. They must have detected your ship. They know humans are here. Begin stepped forward, her military training asserting itself. What can we do to help? We won't endanger your people by hiding behind them. Kate recognized the determination in her friend's stance. Humans might be physically weaker than many species, but their courage was unmatched. She had seen it countless times during the difficult weeks after the crash. Lara seemed to consider something, her skin cycling through several colors, before settling on a determined goal. There is a way, but it requires trust. Our minds can shield yours temporarily, a joining that would mask your biosignatures with our own. The humans exchanged uncertain glances. The concept was alien, literally, allowing these creatures access to their minds was not a decision to be made lightly. How would this work exactly? Kate asked, her scientific curiosity overcoming her hesitation. Laris held up her hand where small bioluminescent patterns glowed beneath the skin. A temporary bond, a sharing of life patterns. It will not harm you, but you will experience sensations unfamiliar to humans. It requires physical contact. Susan shook her head immediately. I don't consent to this. We need to find another way. Megan looked torn between protecting her people and respecting Susan's concerns. Kate stepped forward. I volunteer, she said, surprising herself with her certainty. She had felt drawn to the Valkyrie from the beginning. Their organic technology fascinated her, and something about Lara specifically called to her in a way she couldn't articulate. Are you sure? Megan asked, concern evident in her voice. Kate nodded. I trust them, and we need to understand this technology. If we're truly stranded here, we should learn everything we can. Laris led Kate to a quiet alcove away from the others. The chamber was lit by bioluminescent plants that cast a soft blue glow over everything. The air was thick with humidity and carried sweet, unfamiliar scents. This will feel strange, Laris warned. The connection works both ways. You will sense my thoughts as I sense yours. Some humans might find the experience overwhelming. Kate took a deep breath, steadying herself. I'm ready. Laris raised her hand, palm forward. The patterns, beneath her skin pulsing with light. Kate mirrored the gesture, pressing her palm against the alien's. Her skin was warmer than a human's and slightly textured like fine silk. The connection was immediate and intense. Colors flooded Kate's mind. Sensations. She had no words for emotions that seemed to resonate at frequencies beyond human perception. She gasped as her consciousness expanded, touching something vast and ancient. the collective awareness of the Valkyrie. She saw through Laris' memories the history of her people. Their struggles and triumphs, their deep connection to Azura. Kate understood suddenly that the planet itself was alive in ways humans had never conceived, aware and responsive to the beings that dwelled upon it. The Valkyrie were not just inhabitants but partners in a planetary symbiosis. In return, Laris experienced the intensity of human emotions, the fierce independence, the constant questioning and curiosity, the capacity for both great compassion and terrible destruction. The alien's mind recoiled slightly before adapting to the unfamiliar patterns. When they separated, Kate stumbled backward, her human brain struggling to process what she'd experienced. Laris caught her, steadying her with gentle hands. "You are more than we thought," Laris said softly. Her skin glowing with patterns Kate now recognized as wonder. "Your minds are chaotic, beautiful. Your emotions so vibrant." Kate struggled to find words. The Valkyrie consciousness was unlike anything she'd imagined. Connected, yet individual part of something greater without losing themselves. "The bond will shield you from detection," Laris explained. "But we must remain close. The connection weakens with distance." Above them, the Zorvath continued their search. Teams of cyborg soldiers methodically moving through the empty city. They took samples, analyzed structures, and planted small devices that Kate realized were surveillance tools. Through her new connection to Laris, Kate sensed the Valkyrie's deep hatred and fear of the Zorvath. Generations of conflict had left scars on the collective consciousness of their species. The Zorvath were not just enemies. They represented an existential threat, a future where living technology was harvested and perverted into weapons hours. Past intense waiting, the humans and Valkyrie watching as the invaders violated the beautiful city. Finally, the Zorvath soldiers returned to their ship. It rose slowly before accelerating into the clouds. "They will return," Laris said as the sanctuary erupted in relieved activity. "They found traces of your technology. They will report to their commanders." Megan, who had been consulting with Valkyrie defense experts, approached, her face grim. "We need to retrieve crucial supplies from our ship before the Zorvath find it," she said. "We have weapons, medical equipment, and communication tech that we can't afford to lose." Laris nodded. "Understanding the urgency, we will help you. A small team can reach your ship before nightfall. The Zorvath rarely attack in darkness. Their visual augmentations function poorly in low-light conditions, as preparations were made for the retrieval mission." Kate found herself still connected to Laris in subtle ways. She could sense the alien's presence even across the room, small impressions of thoughts and feelings filtering through the bond. This connection, Kate began, not sure how to phrase her question. Is it permanent? Laris' skin shifted to a thoughtful blue. No. It will fade gradually. But the first bond always leaves. Traces a pathway once opened is never completely closed. Kate nodded, trying to hide her relief, though she suspected Laris could sense her emotions anyway. The experience had been profound, but the idea of permanently sharing her mind was unsettling. They prepared to leave the sanctuary. Kate caught Laris watching her. The alien's 6 eyes seemed to see through her in ways that were both intimate and alien. After their mental connection, Kate felt vulnerable, exposed, yet also strangely comfortable with this being who had glimpsed her innermost thoughts. The mission to retrieve supplies from the crashed Starseeker would be dangerous, but Kate now understood that the threat from the Zorvath was greater than they had imagined. Their arrival on Azura had accelerated a conflict that had been simmering for generations, and somehow Kate Miller, scientist and reluctant explorer, had become central to this alien war.